Friends, my name is Mutlatsi Sibego. Ngiyindodana kaThemba Sibego. Ozalwa uManogo, owayezalwa nguJojo, owayezalwa uMancanyana, owayezalwa uSiphelane, ezalwa uBheshwane, ezalwa uMphotho, ezalwa uMancanyana. Bonke laba abangizalayo, okhokho bami, omkhulu bami, nobaba uqobo lwakhe. I just want to talk to you briefly about the lost glory of Africa. This is volume 1. Please subscribe, press the button below and subscribe, put a comment and like where possible so that we can be able to stay with this channel for at least a longer period of time. There's so much to talk about. I don't know where to begin. Maybe let's start here. In the dusty volumes of antiquity are the pages where the ink has written a history of a kingdom where a ruler was once called Solomon. We are told by history that Solomon's father was David, who was king, and Solomon himself therefore became a king that took over the kingdom. He was a very wealthy king, and his kingdom was characterized by the appearance of gold. We are told that his own throne was overlaid with gold, with the footstools of pure gold. We are told that he had so much gold that his entire kingdom was a golden kingdom. In fact, he was even given gifts one time of shields of gold, 200 to 300 shields of gold. And they would be displayed in a place of safety. To them, these represented the blessings of the presence of God, and the presence of God as displayed by the blessings also brought by the presence of God. And whenever an army would prepare to go to war, they would dress up in these golden shields, and they would stand up in array like a drill down of some sort. And then they would march in the presence of the people, and the people would look at them from corridors and balconies, from the streets, and they would look at them, and the glory would shine as the sun would hit the chests of the soldiers, and the shields would spark the sparkling, shining gold, because it was pure gold. You had no choice but to be amazed by the beauty. But unfortunately, the next king that followed did not rule in a way that pleased the Most High. And so they were conquered, and the Egyptians came and took those golden shields. Now, King Rehoboam, who was the one in charge at this time, tried to restore the glory, but it was gone. And so he made the shields of brass, and then he would dress up the soldiers the same way that Solomon would do. And they would parade in the streets, and from the balconies people would look, but the chants and the singings were not the same anymore. The cheerleading was no longer the same because the glory was no longer there. When you came closer to inspect, you would see the reason why it was not shining sparklingly like it used to. It's because the glory was gone. It was no longer gold, but it was now brass. Brass or bronze, it can never shine like gold. And unfortunately, this, therefore, is the condition of Africa presently. We were once the breadbasket of the world. We ruled the entire globe. In fact, we gave birth to all the races that we see right now. We had the civilization that taught all the best minds and the best brains and the best systems of education. We still hold within ourselves the ability to go back, but we do not go back because somehow the parent has become the victim of a child, and the parent is chasing after the child, hoping the child would feed, but the child is oppressing the parent. This is the story of our lives as Africans, and it will never change until we get serious about life and begin to change some serious things. It's not going to be comfortable. It means demolishing some walls. It means that bringing some discomfort. It means that losing some friendship. It means that certain people may even have to die for that matter, because such a change is necessary. Number one, the system of government that we use, which is democracy, is not working for Africa. Has never worked for Africa. Will never work for Africa. As long as we continue to use a system that is controlled in the West, we shall continue to be the victims of the West. We've got to destroy this system. We've got to destroy it completely as a continent and try and go back to the system that worked. This is not just a theory. This has been tried before. Just 60 years ago, China was in the same situation as we are right now, where they had been trying to follow America behind, and it somehow destabilized them. They decided to therefore go to the drawing board and shut down all the borders, and in terms of the media influence, and decided that every television program will be from China. Every printed magazine or newspaper will be from China. So every story you told was the Chinese story. Every program you saw was the Chinese program, and the news as well. It was the same, until the Chinese began to fall in love with who they were. Now, wherever you go, you will find a Chinese restaurant, because the Chinese wants to become a Chinese even outside of China. We can go back to the same situation too as Africans, where we close all the borders. We become a nation also only unto ourselves. Our identity is the key to our success. If we don't fix the identity issue and protect it, we'll continue to be the victims of the West. We shall be stolen from by the West. We shall be oppressed by the West. We shall be threatened by the West. We shall be undermined by the West. Because here we are, very talkative, eloquent. Here we are, able to dance and jump up and down. Here we are, able to run distances of 100-meter dash and marathons. Here we are, able to win the Olympics. Recently, we won the Miss Universe. We are able to do all these things and acrobatics, but the world does not respect the acrobatics. Can you take care of your people who are vulnerable? Can you build the best universities that will teach the content that is based on your identity and heritage? Can you build a system of economics that is able to feed your continent such that the world depends on you? Can you do those things? If you can't do those things, you deserve no one's respect. And it's high time that Africa therefore rises up to this reality and begin to look at how we can make better our situation ourselves by applying our own system. We need our own system. Because now what we're doing is we're parading gold. We're parading brass for gold. When we once were the greatest, now we say we can, but we don't become. It is useless of us to walk around talking about a history of greatness. Right now we've got people who believe so much in the enemy. They will die for the enemy. They're so in love with the enemy. They believe they too look like the enemy. There was a time when we understood what our skin stood for. There was a time, but now our young people are bleaching the skin, trying to look like the enemy. Now we are walking around dressing up like the enemy. There are some churches that will throw you out if you don't dress up like the enemy. We have lost our sense of identity as a people. It begins with going back to how things were done. How were things were done? Today we'll look at only one solution, and then in the next videos that will follow, we'll look at other solutions. We had a system of governance that was based on royalty here in Africa. And fortunately, we still have royalty, but the system is messed up. We need to restore that system back so that we are able to restore who we are. Now, the enemy told us that that system is based on enmity. In other words, the king becomes an enemy to the people. That's utter rubbish. They say that the king would oppress the people. That is rubbish. Because it's the same thing as happening in democracy. Except in democracy, only the leaders are benefiting. They've become the fat cats of the ruling parties while the people are starving in Alexandria and in the rural areas of South Africa, Zimbabwe, Zambia, and many other parts of the continent of Africa. We need to do away with the system that makes the fat cats fatter and the poor people poorer. We need to do away with the system where the politicians are going around bullying people for the votes and then forget about the people. We need to go back to the system of royalty. We have kings that are standing, and the kings are able to rule the people accordingly. If we restore that kingdom, we shall be able to go back to where we used to be. And Africa again can be great if we go back to how things were done. That's exactly what China did. They went back to the drawing board. Guess what they did? They took our system of royalty and applied it in their ways of doing things. So now you have a prime minister, but you do have royalty. We need to go back to that, or else we need to forget about a future for our children. My friends, let's talk again some other time. God bless you. Take care. Bye-bye. Ashe.